Yeah, pretty much.
Most of the time.
Welcome back. Welcome. Oh wait, I forgot. We don't have to talk.
You don't.
Okay, so welcome back. I have been waiting on this all week. I've grown quite fond of these verb talk it out sessions because at first we started this to basically try and educate the world, but I failed to realize that in educating everyone else, there's room for me to learn as well. Is she taking a phone call in the midst of
I
this?
don't think she is.
You gonna say hello? Like you gonna answer the phone on the side of this video?
That's crazy, yo.
We have people. We could you. Hey, you're getting paid, ma'am. Ma'am. I need you to focus on the look. Okay, so I need you to press. You can't just look. Press hard. There you go. There you go. Okay, there you go.
It's her first day on the job, guys.
Yeah,
Please
y'all
don't.
excuse her. It's her first day. So anyway, I failed to realize that in the midst of us trying to educate the world on different perspectives and logics that we have, there's always room for me, myself, to grow and learn. And if I'm not learning, I'm basically becoming more foundation than what I already know. So the Verb Talk About sessions is for everyone. And I hope that you learn something from these sessions that we have. So this is our, third installment?
Yeah, fourth.
Fourth?
Yeah. When we had decency, line to protect, and do men and women the same emotions.
So every Saturday we're going to be having these talk it out sessions where we either talk it out amongst each other or invite other people on to talk it out with us. So before we get started, could you all tell me, can you hear us pretty clear? With maybe a thumbs up or yes we can, just to make sure our mics are working. Because a lot of people were a little offended by my yelling last time. So I had to settle down.
So we had to make sure we use the mics this time. So
Right. So can y'all hear us clear? One yes will be fine. One yes will be perfectly fine with me.
Y'all gotta get a green light because I'm sorry. This is really nice. But the lighting. Y'all gotta get a green light, bro. I'm sorry.
Okay. So today's did somebody say they can hear us?
Yeah.
You gonna tell me that tomorrow?
I'm sorry, guys. It's our first day on the job.
All right, so let's get started. So today's talk it out session is going to be pertaining to marriage, where we're going to deal with many different avenues and perspectives of marriage as a whole. And it's mostly going to be me and my brother Aaron here. So before we get started, I'm going to give you all a forewarning. All of my perspectives comes from a biblical perspective. So if you don't ascribe to the Bible, then the things that I'm saying means nothing to you, and that's okay. But if you do ascribe to the Bible, then the things that I'm saying, if you previously weren't thinking like this, then you may need to at least consider. Now, I'm not trying to say I'm Jesus or nothing, but I know a little something about something. So I'm not saying to just automatically agree with me. But what I am saying that if we share the same beliefs as a whole, you should at least consider what I'm saying. And my brother Aaron here is a more non-traditional kind of guy. He does believe in God, but it's not as traditional as you may be used to. So we really want to see if we can get our perspectives at least across to one another and see where we end up. So this should be a pretty interesting journey. Right. Shall we begin?
We shall.
What is question number 1? Today. Marriage. We're going to give a definition of marriage while she gets the question together. So for me, marriage is the joining of male and female legally, spiritually, physically, emotionally, and mentally. That is a marriage to me by definition. What is marriage to you?
Marriage to me is a mindset, and there are different qualities of marriage that make up that mindset. For me, those qualities will be, I would say, long-term commitment. But I agree. I kind of basically agree with what you said as far as the joining of those qualities. But the other qualities that I would ascribe to would be long-term commitment, devotion to not only individual growth but growth with each other, long-term and short-term goals, planning for the future, that type of thing. But I feel like it has to be a mindset. Like you can't go into it thinking that, okay, once we get married, it's going to automatically fall into place. No, this has to be a mindset from the beginning. Because without that mindset, those things that we think validate a marriage aren't going to actually save the marriage, if that makes sense.
So, and that's very interesting you would say that like that, because I'm about to say something and I wanted you to tell me whether you agree or not. I believe that someone can be legally married but not married.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
I'm with you 100%. So let me do this. And I'm glad.
I feel like you've been planning on me all day. I feel like you're trying to let me sit up.
I've been planning all week.
You've been planning on me. Okay.
I've been planning all week. So, what are some qualities? So, do you agree with the qualities that all right. So, let me ask you this: Are you and Lavanya, your wife, are you guys committed long term
Yes.
to one another? Are you guys devoted to financial planning
Yes.
for your future? Mm-hmm. Do you guys have long-term and short-term goals that you guys are wanting to meet throughout the duration of your marriage? Are there any other qualities you can think of that you guys have that help further your marriage along?
Just group, joint development, which is included with financial, long-term, short-term goals. But like it also, like you said, it has to be first identified as a personal level of, hey, I want to continue to grow and develop until I die. Because I feel like if you legally marry someone on paper that has already decided that this is just who I am, but then you're the type of person that has decided to continue to grow and develop until you die, then you're married to yourself, which is the very first person you need to be married to. But then you're only legally married to that person, which is going to create chaos.
So, knowing what you know about me and Monique, do you think we are committed to each other long term? Mm-hmm. Do you believe that she and I are planning financially for our future? Mm-hmm. Do you think she and I have both long term and short term goals for our future? Mm-hmm. And the other joint thing that you were mentioning, right? So if we basically have all of those things that you and your current wife have, what separates us from being married?
Aha! This is where it gets
Yes,
good.
absolutely.
So, the only thing that now separates you and while we're discussing, I want you all to tell me what your definition of marriage is as well.
Looks like
someone
we
wrote a
actually
book. Could you tell us what's
Yeah.
So should I read it?
Yes.
You should. I can't see it. I'm sorry.
Okay. Some people can be legally married to disguise themselves or pose themselves as they are a fond couple for many reasons: benefits, immigration, and many more.
Correct. Which goes with what we just said.
Yeah.
You can be married on paper, but not actually married.
Right.
Okay.
Now, let's make it clear. We are aware that people get married for business reasons. We're not talking about that aspect of marriage. Like you said at the beginning, we're strictly biblical or
more.
I mean, we can say in the traditional sense.
Yeah, traditional sense of marriage. Yeah. So the question that you asked me was basically considering the fact that we both agree with the definition of marriage. The only different word that I used in mine was legal that you didn't use.
Right,
And
exactly.
you asked me then, well, what's the difference between you and Monique, which is his current fiance, all you females, done with, and me and my wife, which is currently my wife. Y'all may have a chance. I'm playing. Y'all done too. So, the difference now is legality. Mm-hmm. And this is where I feel like we're going to go on two different roads, but we're going to still end up at the same location. So the only difference now between your definition of marriage and my definition of marriage is legal, because y'all both have the mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional and financial, but now the difference is legal. The reason that I feel as though the legal part has to be included, not saying that it's important over the others, because all the other factors are more important than the legal. But the legal needs to be included because of this thing here. Say you and Monique is married in all the other aspects except for legal. Mm-hmm. That means you and her and me and Swanee is the same. However, y'all built this empire. You done bought a house, bought cars, maybe had kids. Y'all building together, got things in the bank together. You got all these things stacked up. When you die, or if Monique dies before you, it goes to your parents or your mom. And to me, that is unacceptable because I vested my time, my energy, my emotions, all the things that made us married means nothing now because you didn't solidify that legally. So people are not just going to walk up and be like, well, yeah, you should give her the $100,000 worth of burial insurance money because they were together for a long time. Your mom is going to get that. And who's to say that your mom and Monique is going to have a good relationship? They do. But it don't always work like that. And even if they do, in death, things get ugly. So that may turn into a whole situation. And now Monique has spent 20 to 25 years with you and have absolutely nothing to show for it that you've planned for it. Not to say that she should simply plan for a marriage to have a burial insurance, but wouldn't you want to die knowing that the things that we've planned, she can have rights to? Because without that legal piece of it, she ain't got no rights to it.
Yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing with that. And you actually gave a different answer that I anticipated that you would say. But so for me, I'm speaking more in terms of what validates a marriage. All the things you say are true, but those aren't the things, in my mind, those aren't the things that validate the long-term commitment, the future planning, woo-de-woo. I anticipated that you were going to say that without that legal document, people can just decide to up and leave you whenever you get ready. And so had you said that, my argument to that was going to be, has the law ever stopped anybody from getting a divorce? Or has the law ever stopped a man? And we know men in our lives who have had wives and children living in a home with these people and then decided one day, hey, I don't want a family anymore, and kick their people out. So that was the route I'm going. So my main focus is, and like I said, everything you said is very true, but my main focus is, what are the things that validate a marriage? And to me, a legal contract doesn't necessarily validate a marriage because, like you said, you can have a legal contract, but people still not be married, right? So that's my main focus. So where I'm going is, like I said, going back to the mindset of it all. People tend to think that without the mindset, the proposal validates the marriage. Without the mindset, the ring validates the marriage. Without the mindset, the wedding now validates the marriage. Without the mindset, that legal document validates the marriage. But if you don't have that mindset, once all of those things are taken away, what are you left with? Because a proposal only lasts a couple of minutes, depending on how creative you get. Wedding, let's just say it lasts a day with the reception and all of that stuff going on. So all of those are fleeting. The ring you can take, the honeymoon, like ring you can take on and off. Like those things are fleeting because it's not anything that is long lasting. But if you go into it with the mindset of long-term commitment, because people get married and they aren't committed to each other. All right. They're not going into it with the mindset of only being loyal or committed to this one person. People don't financially plan. They don't come up with a solid financial plan to make sure that their bills will always get paid.
They get stressed out and get a divorce
because of that. Not only that, people have kids. You know what I mean? Or
then they get married because they had kids.
Because they had kids,
and then expect the kids to keep their marriage together. The marriage that they didn't have kids before they got married, which makes no sense.
Without the short-term or long-term goals, we just coming home, we just going to work every day, coming home and not doing nothing else other than going to work every day. Like eventually stuff like that is going to get old, and at some point we're going to need to figure out ways that we can grow and progress, not again individually and together. So that's my thing is, as long as you have that mindset, you can have those other things because those other things aren't what validate your marriage. Your mindset is what will continue to forward your marriage, because once those things are taken away, we still got the long-term commitment, the financial planning, short-term and long-term goals, individual and joint growth.
So I'm glad you brought that up. So I have a question. Can you have a marriage without the legal documents? Yes or no?
To me, are we speaking in terms of what validates marriage?
No. Adrian Poe is asking Aaron Poe, can anyone have a marriage without legal documents?
Common law marriage, but I guess that's the way.
Yeah, I mean, because of the society or the government that we live under, it's it's more beneficial to have the legal documentation. I would say yes, you can have a marriage without the legal document for the reasons that I stated.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I want for your
Right,
definition, if everyone was like you who understood that the ring doesn't do it, because I hold those same values, because I don't even got a ring now.
You're right.
Like, I never wear a ring, but I wish somebody would want me, like,
Right.
back up. So in my question I'm asking you is, with your definition, we're gonna portray the rest of the world understands what you're understanding.
Right.
Can you have a marriage without the legal documents on your definition? If everyone ascribed to your definition, can you do that?
Absolutely, because like I said, based on my definition, like I said, the ring, the proposal, the wedding and stuff doesn't do it, and like the legal documentation, it has never stopped anyone from leaving anyone or divorcing anyone. It may create a harder, drawn out process, but it's never actually stopped anyone from deciding to leave another person. So for me, yes, you can have a marriage without the legal document.
So my next question is then, should you have a marriage without a legal document?
I would say no for the reason. No, hold on. I'm saying no.
Those answers to be different.
Listen
from you.
Listen, I would say no because of the reasons you stated before. Again, we live the government has constructed a society where you are able to obtain certain benefits that come with that legal documentation, such as the tax filing, such as the assistance that you can apply for based on your income, such as, like you said, if one was to die, what's left in your name, or who does it go to? So I'm saying based on how societies or our government is constructed, it is more beneficial to have that legal document.
So now no. It's only beneficial to have that legal document upon the death. Because as long as you're married, we don't have as many benefits as someone who's not married do. Such as childcare with Medicaid. Me and Swanee don't qualify for Medicaid because we're married, we got two incomes. So it's more beneficial to live in the society with your perspective. Like, if the society accepted your perspective, all the other things outside of legality, we would still qualify for all the benefits. The only time that our marriage benefits us for the things that I named is when we're no longer married because one of us died or we divorced. So realistically, it makes more sense if we're going by society standards to live how you're saying it, with just agreeing, word is bond, you my wife, I'm your husband, we gonna have kids, we gonna plan and do this stuff together, but we're off the legal books. It makes perfect sense if you can find somebody to do that with. And this is where we're bumping heads, or this is where we will bump heads, because for me and the belief that I ascribe to, I understand that the marriage as a whole also includes the legality, because we're getting the full physical benefits of whatever is offered in the physical world we live in, as opposed to also ascribing to the spiritual benefits, such as the mental, emotional, personal development, and all the other things. So I'm going to accept marriage as a whole. But if I didn't believe in God and wanted to maximize on the full concept of marriage, I would live in your perspective of marriage. I will have all the things that I currently have now, but I would remove the legal part of it so that Noah can get Medicaid and I can save $500 a month. Okay. So it makes more sense to live like that. But because of the society we live in, it's beneficial to get married, but only upon the death. So we're really waiting on our spouse to die in order to even get the benefits that everyone else that's been living together all these years are already getting. Say the government is giving you $500 a month for insurance, right? And that goes on for so long. And you're getting that every month. You're getting that benefit every month. I got to wait till Swanee died to cash in on his $100,000 policy. That money may not even balance out because you may live longer accumulating that $500, such as food stamps. Me and Swanee spend about $300 a month on food. We're married. We're not finna get food stamps. If we could live in your perspective and pull the legal part from it, the $300 we spend on food can come back in our pocket. But if I take out that portion of marriage, understanding that I have to maximize on the physical and the spiritual, I'm now going against my beliefs in God, or the beliefs that I hold in God, to benefit from the physical world that we live in. So that's where it gets contradictory, and that's why I have to include the legal part of marriage, because my belief tells me that we are to ascribe to the laws of man as long as they don't contradict the laws of God. And legal marriage doesn't contradict the laws of God, but like you said, people can get legally married and contradict every other law in the world.
So, I mean, what is the law of God when it comes to marriage?
I mean, basically one man to one woman. That's basically it. And
that's why the law of man doesn't contradict that.
That's why the law of man doesn't contradict it when they say, well, if you're going to be married, you need to be on a legal document. It actually coincides with that. So now I have to accept what the world that I live in is saying and what God is saying, because they don't contradict. Now, at any point when marriage starts to contradict the law of God, which it can't because they're both foundational now. One is simply a legal document that gives you access to these things that you built together, and it actually holds that person accountable. That's why a lot of people don't want to get legally married, because they come into marriage with all these benefits, and they build together, and they know that if I just decide, I don't want no family no more, I'm gone. You ain't leaving like that, homeboy. I'm gonna need half of what you got. And that's why a lot of people don't get married, because the physical world contract actually holds accountability for those people who just got these untangible things, such as I can say, I'm committed to Swanee. I love you, ain't gonna never go nowhere. Next year, I'm gone. Who done bought a house? Who done bought a car? I'm taking that car. What you gonna do? Fight me? Where you gonna go? Who name is it in? Like, I could easily manipulate you if I'm living based on your standards when I take the legal out. Mm-hmm. So the legal for me is definitely a must, even if I'm not even considering getting $100,000 when she died. Like, what if she wake up and decide to leave me? Like, where does that leave me and my child?
Yeah.
So it's so much that the legal part does play, but I do agree that the legal part of marriage is not the meat of marriage. And I feel like you said, people approach marriage in the sense of the wedding, the proposal, the cute pictures on Facebook, the 15 minutes of fame, and the document. And those things are like wedding rings. They can come on and off.
Yeah.
Like, you need to build it on the other things that are untangible, so that when you do get the legal, it basically encapsulates all those other things. Mm-hmm. But without that legal, the marriage is really a word. And I mean, how many people really don't keep their word? Like, we keep our word. I mean, there are people out there, but like the odds of finding one of those, or
like I said, people don't keep their word even with that document. So but like I completely understand everything you're saying. Like I said, I feel like we're pretty much on the same page, aside from just that legal aspect. And I don't disagree that it is important. For me, that's not what validates what I believe to be marriage.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. Marriage. I mean, a legal document doesn't validate a marriage, and a ring doesn't validate a marriage.
Right.
So and living together doesn't validate a marriage. Like having kids doesn't validate a marriage. But I do believe that even though the legal document doesn't validate a marriage, it does solidify it. Like, it holds the person. Like, you can tell me all day, I'm never gonna leave you. We can open up a bank account together. We can get a car together. We can buy a house together. But at the end of the day, you can up and just decide to walk out, and I don't have anything that holds you accountable. So I do agree that people can be married without a legal document. I definitely believe that. If you find somebody that holds the same belief and you trust them to hold that same belief, you don't have to get married. You don't need a ring. You don't have to have a wedding. You can literally say, hey, we're married. And if that person and you is going to uphold that till death do you part, then yes, you are married. Should you get married like that? No, sir. You should not get married like that. And I feel like a lot of people justify that because we got people that be living together. That's the common law. Like, what the frick is that? Common what? You can common law all day, but you ain't finna think you finna, we've been living together 12 years. We got 14 kids. We got a house and all these cars and stuff together. But at the end of the day, you can get up and just leave me with no repercussions. Yeah. The legal document gives you repercussions. So you're going to think twice about leaving.
Yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing with that either. I don't want you to think that I was saying you shouldn't get married without the legal documentation. I was just saying that I don't need it.
I don't need it, but I'm going to need it.
Yeah, for sure.
So another question that I had is, what are the benefits of marriage to you? And when I say marriage, I'm talking about marriage in its totality. Like, what are the benefits?
Like, with the legal documentation and all that?
Yeah, all inclusive.
It's a great question. It's a great question.
What are the benefits of marriage? And I may be extra exorbitant because I've lived it, so I know the benefits.
Yeah.
So let me give you. Oh, go ahead.
Well, no, go ahead.
Let me give you some of the benefits that I found in marriage, and I hope this helps y'all too. One of the main benefits in marriage is once you're married, there's a lot of, I call them security blankets that marriage gives. Such as when I wasn't married, I was out there dating, which means I had to, poll the streets, find different people who were available, go out on dates. There's a lot of energy and effort that was put into trying to find someone, and I don't know who I'm getting involved with. Like, a lot of people go out on dates trying to find people, and like they die. Like, since I've married my wife, I don't have to worry about going out on a date and being killed. That's one security blanket I just don't have to worry about. It also gives you someone to confide into on a daily basis, because outside of marriage, if you don't have family or friends, like in the dating world, you can't just dump all your stuff on some person you just met. So marriage also gives you the security blanket of having somebody to at least talk to. Even if they haven't developed the skill to listen, you have someone that you know at the end of the day, you're going to have a partnership with. Another benefit, marriage gives you 4 hands instead of 2. 4 feet instead of 2. So the projects or the things that you aspire to do in life, you now have someone to help you who have been legally, physically, spiritually, and mentally committed to providing that assistance, as opposed to being like, dang, I ain't got nobody to help me with this. How am I gonna get this done? Or I need to take the kids here. I need to go to work. Like, it's a lot of things that comes along on a daily basis of life that outside of marriage or a committed relationship, you on your own. Another thing, financially, 2 incomes now. So where you only had 1 income and it may take you 5 years to pursue whatever dream you had, now you can cut that in half, 2.5 years. Sex. And I know a lot of people may be like, you're taking it too far. But like for me, I know for me and my wife, like I ain't never got to worry about catching no STD. Like I ain't never got to worry about like who I'm getting involved with. I ain't never got to worry about tying myself into you physically in the realm of sex to where I'm putting my life in jeopardy. Mm-hmm. Like I can, like, that's another concern that I had when I was out there in the world, just having sex with people. And it's like, I may have some, or I may get you pregnant. Like, and then if I get you pregnant, I'm on my own because we're not married. So like, it's just a lot that comes to the sexual aspect that it's a security blanket for me. It's like, man, like I made it. Like I ain't got to run that race no more. Like I ain't never got to worry about when I'm gonna have sex. Hey, let me get that little bit. That's mine now. Not that aggressive, but you know. Another aspect is, like I was talking about the whole, like the death thing. Like if somebody you're dating dies, it's over with. They just dead. You can date 15 years, they dead. Mm-hmm. No matter what you built up together. But now that I'm married, I know that we have a plan in place to where when you die, like our child will be taken care of. Or if I die, you'll be taken care of. Like it's a setup for success, as opposed to not being married. It's just a setup because like life is gonna destroy you. Yeah. And those are the main aspects that I consider when I think about like all the benefits of marriage that I would get married. Like if I were on the outside looking in, it's like I would get married because of all these benefits that I've grown to become accustomed to. And the moment that I'm no longer married, it strips me of all of those things that I've accomplished or all of those things that I've been saved from that everyone else who is not married currently still face.
I think you pretty much covered the benefits and the pros and the cons.
Oh no, we have cons. I have plenty of cons.
Well, let's read some of the comments we got so far.
What we got?
Okay. Let me go back. Let's see. Okay.
Sorry.
You didn't want to tell us to stop?
I just.
You're gonna join the conversation. Huh?
Somebody coming in and said y'all on my row. So.
We what?
On her row.
On her row?
Yeah, and then we talking what she leave.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
She's skipping comments. You got to read the comments.
I'm
sorry, it's her first day on the job.
Marriage is being legally married, bonded, committed, being with someone that you will invest your time in and know that you will fight for everything that comes with your relationship. I agree with Adrian on the legality of it, especially when children are involved. Agree with Aaron. Trust, loyalty, communication.
Okay. What? Shocker.
Well, yeah. Okay, yeah, answer that one. No, you cannot have a marriage without legal documents because it defeats the meaning in glossary or the definition of.
So wait, let's pause right there. So I think I need to restate that so that people understand. You can have a marriage without the legal documents because we can agree that there are people out there who have decided to be committed to one another and they haven't cheated, they haven't broke their word, and they die like that. Like they die together, upholding the utmost honesty to one another, only having sex with one another, only being committed, only sharing all of their intimacy and everything that involves them with one another. So they are married because married doesn't necessarily mean legal documents. Like you marry two double wives, like one piece of the house is married to the other piece of the house. Like marriage doesn't necessarily mean a legal document, but should you get married without the legal documents, that's where the no comes in. Yeah. But people can be married. Like me and Aaron is married in a friendship. Like I'm committed totally to him with whatever he may try to aspire to do in life, and I'm pretty sure he shares that same commitment. So we are definitely married in this friendship. But when it pertains to the male and female perspective or the legal document perspective, we don't need that because we understand that we are married to one another. So can you be married to someone without a legal documents? You definitely can. Should you be married to someone without a legal documents? That is a no-go. You definitely should not.
Yeah. Again, I was just speaking in terms of, does a legal document validate a marriage? To me, it doesn't.
Right. It doesn't validate, but it does, to me, solidify. Would you agree? It solidifies it, but it doesn't validate it. You don't like that, do you?
Let me look up the definition of solidify. Right. I'm with you.
What are the comments we got?
Somebody said the same thing you just said. Legal documents solidifies the arrangement.
Okay.
Somebody said, I feel if you don't have the document, you just have a strong relationship growing to. Somebody said going nowhere. Unfortunately.
Going nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they were just.
I agree with that because. And so this is the thing. Somebody said if you don't have the legal documents, you just have a strong relationship going nowhere. And I'm glad they brought that up because it actually brings up another statement I wanted to make. So I believe in capitalizing. And that's in everything that I do. So if I come on a job and I'm starting out as a CSR, by the time I leave or die, I need to be whatever the top is, right? So to me, a relationship is the same way. I don't understand why I would get in a relationship with you and get comfortable on the level that we got in a relationship in. Because what's the point? And it's kind of like people that be like, marriage ain't for everybody. The problem that I have with it is, if marriage is not for you, then why are you even in a relationship? Because that also means that you are the type of person that are comfortable with minimizing. Yeah. Because a relationship is supposed, well, first you start out as a friendship, right? Then you start out, you get in a relationship. Then you get married. Like, those are the three levels of a partnership. So you're telling me that, well, marriage ain't for everybody. Okay, if that's the case, then why are you in a relationship at all? Yeah. Like,
what's the goal?
What's the goal? And that goes back to the short-term and long-term goals. And how many people you know that say marriage isn't for everybody, but then when they get in a relationship, they say, hey, I want you to understand that this relationship is all that there will be, a relationship. Like, they don't admit that. But deep down inside, they got that in their subconscious saying that, well, I don't believe in marriage, but I believe in getting all the benefits that lead up to marriage. But, like, who says that? Like, people live that, but they don't really say that. Mm-hmm. So I feel like if you're the type of person that say marriage isn't for everybody, then you have no business in a relationship unless you at the same time admit to the person you're in a relationship with that, hey, I choose to minimize on our relationship. Meaning, we're only going to always be in a relationship. That needs to be told to this person, because this person may be the person that decides to maximize, and now you're creating conflict because you think that we're leading somewhere and they understand that, baby, we right here. This is all we will ever be. And we need to be giving people that instead of joining in these relationships knowing that it's going nowhere. So I agree when you say without the legal documents, the marriage is basically a relationship that's going nowhere. Because I've invested my time, my energy, my effort, my mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, financial, all of that in you. and then you can still decide to walk away with no repercussions.
Our friend Jasmine is the one that made that comment, by the way.
Of course. Of freaking course.
She want to comment, but she don't want to be here.
Right.
It's still beneficial to be married. Credit, family, growth, financial, mentally, emotionally maturity, and growth, love, and family. Somebody said that's what you call common law or marriage in most states. Somebody said, I don't believe in living with someone taking on the wife role and not being a wife.
Right.
That's the same thing.
That's how people get cut and killed. Like, don't play with me like that.
That's true.
Like I'm giving you all this and you like that. Now, this is the thing though. This is the thing. Like, for me, I understand why a female would like get radical, like couldn't try to kill, because just say we've been together 7 years, I've been like holding it down. Like all the things that a wife should do, I've been doing. But this is the thing. I decided to do that. Like, you're not holding a gun to my head making me do that. And that's where it comes into play. The person you're doing it to is a minimizer and you're a maximizer. So you're already operating in the level of husband or wife because you're a maximizer and you understand that this relationship is going somewhere. But deep down, that person is already understanding that, hey, I'm a minimizer. Like, if I can get all these benefits out of you without reaching the max, then baby, give them here.
Now, there's another side to that. That's a great point you brought up, but I want to bring up another side. So those women who have been, with their man so our years and now they're ready to get married, they may very well be with a man who is just as ready to be married as well. But do you agree or disagree that there are some situations where a man is holding off on getting married to make sure that their financial situation is straight? So, for instance, it costs money to have a wedding, right? It costs money.
Not really. Me and Swan got married at the court.
No, I'm saying to have.
We've been rocking that thing 5-6 years now.
But Lavanya still wants a wedding, though,
and
right?
she'll get it.
Right.
That's my point. We already married.
I know, but listen. No. Listen, this is my point. You just validated my point. So most women want a wedding. They don't just want to get
a husband or wedding. Which one? You want a husband or wedding?
You can't have your cake and eat it too.
You cannot eat this cake.
Listen, most women want a wedding. Weddings cost money. We agree or disagree on that?
Agree.
Most women want children. Children definitely cost money. Agree. Most women want a house, right? Costs money. Agree.
Too much. That's number one. Go ahead.
So women are so ready to obtain these things, even though they know very well that these things cost money. And a guy in that situation, when they say, "Yeah, I'm gonna marry you," I just want to make sure we're straight. The guy is focused on knowing, all right, I know she gonna want this. I know she gonna want that. I know she gonna want that. So we gonna need to make sure we're financially straight before we take that next step into getting married. Because once we get married, all of these things are gonna start to follow. And if we can't make sure that we're financially straight to take care of all these things, what are we doing at the? Does that make sense?
It does, but I'm glad you brought that up. So we have a problem now because.
But let me finish my point. So I feel like. I know some men who were in situations with women who were pressuring them to go ahead and propose so they can get married, even though they were trying to make sure that they were financially straight to take that next step. And women have left them because they weren't ready to go ahead and do it now. You know what I mean?
So I have a problem with that because, agree or disagree, there is no way for you and your fiance to conjure up or be able to calculate everything that could go wrong to have it already pre-solved before you get married.
I agree.
So to me, that's an excuse. Now, listen to what I'm saying. The excuse of, we've been together 7 years, but I want to make sure we straight before we get married. I'm
not saying 7 years.
And this is my next question. How long? This is the next question. How long is too long to be dating and not be married? This is a good one.
That's
because
a nice segue.
I'm glad you asked that.
We agree part of marriage is the financial and the short-term and long-term goals,
but
right?
should that determine whether or not we should get married?
No, I'm saying if, like you said, you mentioned 7 years. So assuming that we've been planning all of this time, it shouldn't take 7 years.
It shouldn't. No, it shouldn't.
So, but if we've been going 7 years and
we just out here,
I can understand their sentiment. Like, okay,
you could never thought
we ain't been doing this for the past 7 years.
Now you want to start planning.
Now you want to start planning.
This is done.
So I'm saying
gotta die.
I'm saying
I'm finna kill you. You wanna now say, oh, I wanna make sure we straight? We got a 5-year-old.
So I'm saying, assuming that we started this from the beginning with the mindset
That's
of financially
the problem right
planning in short-term and long-term goals, then it shouldn't take that long. Now, if it's only 2 years and women is pressuring, okay, give me a little bit more time.
Hold on.
2 years, bro?
Hold on.
Because, okay, so listen, me and Monique been together for going on 2 years. You think we ready to buy a house?
Hold on. I have a problem with you.
What you mean?
I have a problem with you.
I'm saying...
Let me tell you my problem. You're telling me that this legal paper doesn't make a marriage. It doesn't validate a marriage. But the ability to buy a house do? Yes or no?
That's not what I said.
I'm asking a question. I need a yes or no.
No.
You said a legal piece of paper doesn't validate a marriage. Yes or no?
No.
But the ability to buy a house do?
I didn't say that.
You just asked me a question about you think we're ready to buy a house?
No, we're speaking strictly in terms of financial planning.
So how much money should you have before you get married?
It's not about the amount of money.
What is it about?
It's about are we ready?
Let's get in it.
Can I pay for this wedding, yo? Can I pay for this wedding, son?
We have a problem. So listen. I need you to explain to me.
Now, okay. Now, I do agree because you said you and Lavanya, you just went and got married at the courthouse, and the wedding is going to come later. So I do agree. Those are situations that are more conducive. That is more conducive to your financial planning and your long-term and short-term goals. So to answer the question about how long is too long to wait, it really just depends on the people and the understanding that they've come to as far as how to move forward with their relationship, if that makes sense.
I agree with that, but there's still a timeline. Let me show you how. So 6 months. If I say, me and Sunset been together 6 months. Oh, I can say I met Swanee yesterday. We finna get married. What would you think?
You sure?
There you go. Okay. Thank you for being honest. If I say I met me and Swanee been talking 6 months, we finna go ahead and get married.
All right, a little soon for my blood, but okay.
Okay. If I'm like, me and Swanee been rocking about 2 years, man. We finna go ahead and tie the knot.
And I know where you're going with this.
Can I get that?
But yeah, I'm gonna give it to you anyway.
Okay. Two
well,
years.
y'all should be ready. It's been long enough.
Okay. If I say, man, me and Swanee been together like 12 years, bro, I think it's finally time to get married, bro.
You sure you're ready for it?
You know you will say about time. You know we got a 5-year-old, son. We done bought 2 houses, yo. We renting one out.
Nah.
You know you would say about time. So we can say all day that there's it depends on the people, whatever. But if those numbers get too high, everybody be like, come on now.
But that's because society has placed this idea around their society. So agree or disagree that society has kind of placed that timeline on marriage?
Shoot, society don't care nothing about that because they still do it. But I agree.
But I'm saying in terms of what's socially acceptable.
Yeah, I agree.
So that the timeline is based on what's socially acceptable, or as far as how long you should wait to get married. Because the average woman, like the post you sent me the other day with the guy proposed to his girlfriend of 45 years. Like the average woman is not going for that, son. Like the average woman is not going for that, yo.
I would be so mad if
the average
45. I don't want this.
So that's my point. Like,
this small marriage. This is cottage cheese marriage,
bruh. So it's like,
what?
So it's like, who are we to say people who get married, after 6 months, or people who get married after 1 day or a couple months? Who are we to say that that's too soon? So that's why I say it depends on the agreement that the people who are in that comes to. And I agree, there's no amount of time that can determine when you're financially ready for anything, because you can't plan for those unknown or those just those unknown.
We can
factors.
save up $10,000 and say, okay, I'm ready to get married because I can afford the wedding. But next day, have a car accident,
right?
All that money.
All the
then
money.
what? So you're gonna not get like. I feel like there's some contradiction in there because it's the thing. we already agreed that marriage is all the intangibles, physical, spiritual, mental, emotional. The legal just caps it, right?
Solidifies.
If we come together in a matter of a week, and I fully trust that you have the physical, spiritual, mental, emotional, and all the intangible, and you agree that I have all those things, then we decide to get married. If I was a female, you a male. We decide to get married, then you can't also say on the other end that, well, we need to make sure that we financially this and that stable. Like, at what point do we accept one over the other? Because I get it. Okay, your wife may say, hey, I want your fiance say, hey, I want a $10,000 wedding. You gonna wait till you get $10,000 in the bank to marry her? Because what if stuff keep coming up in life, which is gonna keep pushing your marriage back, and now you're waiting on money, which is paper, but you said the legal document or paper don't make a marriage. That ain't making sense.
I'm not saying that was for me. I was saying speaking to men and women who have been in situations like that. So for instance, like I know a guy who had all those things, the intangible things that we talked about. And I guess the point that I'm making is once we get married, if you have all those intangibles, once you get married, what about those intangibles change? Like those intangibles stay constant, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, you're in a rush to get married, but yet once we get married, we still have exactly what we have now. So my point about that is just like, and again, I do agree with the sentiment that no amount of time can determine when you're financially ready, because anything can happen. I guess my sentiment is more so just women not being so focused on having the marriage or, finally being able to say, hey, I'm a wife. Because as long as you have those intangibles, those things are going to eventually come as long as you're doing what you need to be doing. I guess that's my sentiment. I'm not saying that a house validates the marriage or, the wedding or whatever the case is, but I know those are certain things that majority of women want. Now, if you happen to find a woman who doesn't want those things, marry her today. like
get her now.
Right now.
Get her now.
But I'm saying I know that there are women out there that, and even some men that want those things, but thinking that those things are going to validate what we already have in the intangibles. And
so, to you, what is the minimum amount of time that you should get married for you?
I don't know if there's any minimum amount of time, like for me personally.
What are the maximum amount of time?
Like I said, I base marriage off of those intangibles. So,
do you have all of those intangibles?
Yes.
Do your fiance have all those intangibles?
Yes.
So what are we waiting on? Come on. Call her. We'll do it on.
Right. Go ahead and get married.
I'm an ordained minister. I'm a literally married.
So
yeah, call her.
I don't see. For me, there's no real time. Like I gauge it on, and plus it's gauged on a lot of other things as well. It's like how well I connect with that person. Also, like I feel like people end up getting into marriages with people they don't truly connect with. Y'all don't agree on one thing. Not even but the fact that y'all agree, but in terms of being able to connect and come to an understanding about each other's perspective, because of course we're different. So that's also important to me as well. Like, can I connect with you, or at least have a conversation where we can come to an understanding and accept one another for who we are? So that for me, that plays a part into leading to the long-term commitment in the financial planning and short-term, long-term goals. So it's like I said, I can't really say if there's a minimum or maximum amount of time you should get married.
So since you don't have a minimum or a maximum, basically Monique will tell you when y'all ready to get married.
I guess she can, yes. When we have a wedding, it's a different story. Okay. But married,
okay,
she can.
So she can come today and be like, Aaron, like, it's time for us to get married, and you'll be fine with that.
Yeah, because I mean, we're pretty much married now.
So my minimum, I recently just got a minimum, because I used to think that, like, okay, you can decide, because I know marriage is a decision, but I also realized that you need to spend time with a person, because when you first meet them, we're all actors.
Yeah.
Like, we're the better version of us that you will ever see when you first meet me. If I'm trying to marry you, like, I'm finna show you the best me, like Stefan.
Yeah.
But then eventually I turn into Steve Urkel. What you gonna do then? So there is a minimum for me now, and it's at least, like, I'm talking like minimum, and I really don't recommend this first minimum, is 6 months. But this is the thing. In those 6 months, you can't be just sending these good morning text messages. Like, we have to be having legit conversation daily. And if we're having legitimate conversations daily, not no good morning, how you doing, how your day been, nothing WYD, nothing about to go to bed, oh, I love you, good night. No, screw that. If we want to get this thing done in 6 months, we got to be putting in work like we going to work every day. Every day I'm thinking of questions that I need answers for. I'm thinking of, I'm watching you. I'm physically observing, spiritually observing, like I'm mentally observing, like we going out, putting each other in different situations, scenarios, seeing how, like, there has to be work put in to marry somebody in 6 months. And that's only if both of you agree, hey, we ready to get married. Okay, well, let's spend the next 6 months, we clocking in every day. Like, don't send out what you're doing. Don't send me no crap like that. Send me something worth something. That's my most minimum, but you have to sweat for that. My second level of minimum would be 1 to 2 years. And now we have little time and lags. Hey, how you doing? You know, nothing, fine. Okay, I'll let you take a break. You know, let you take a break. But then the next day, hey, can I meet your family? What you got going on? Like, not so soon, but like, I'ma still be putting in a little work, but I got some breaks I can take. Maximum 3 years. Because in 3 years, we should be coming to some type of understanding. Because the first year we may have played around and, you know, took little dates and sent little cute what you doing text messages. That second year, it's like, okay, you know, getting to really feel. You can't act in front of me no more because I know you for a whole year. That means I don't watch what you're doing on and off. That third year, we need to be having a conversation. Like, where the freak is this going? What the freak are we doing? What we got going on? Like, 3 years of my life, and I feel like the reason people don't do this is because people don't value their own time. People that don't mind wasting their time don't mind other people wasting their time. But you're not finna handle me for 3 years. Like, I'm going to evaluate you next year and ask you, well, where are we in our friendship, sir? Where do we start? Where are we going? You remember we used to have these conversations? Like, we need to sit down every 6 to 7 months and figure out, okay, what is everyone doing? How many books have you read? What is your future plan for 6 months? What have you done to get there? Like, us just coming around each other laughing and playing, that's cute. But at the end of the day, what the freak are we doing? So my minimum is 6 months of straight sweat. Minimum is 1 year of lax sweating. My third max is 2 years. My utmost max, 3 years. Like, we've been together 3 years and we still ain't even having a conversation about marriage and when it's gonna take place and where we going. Like, I gotta kill you. Because you thought you were finna drag me down another 6 years and now we all got to die. Like, I'm gonna just burn the whole house down.
I think, but I think that'll.
I'm killing mama, dog, auntie, cousin.
I think,
like, you ain't playing me like that.
I think if people, because I think you get these situations where people are boyfriend and girlfriend for 45 years or however many years, because they don't realize, they don't go into the relationship with the mindset of, or with the goal of marriage. They just in a relationship just to be in a relationship.
And that's the problem.
And so if both of us come into this situation with the goal of marriage in mind, then stuff like that can be achieved in minimum 6 months, maximum 3 years. But everybody doesn't go into it with that mindset.
And this the thing though. What mindset are we coming into this with?
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's the question for y'all. What are the minimums and maximums of the time period where we should be married? So what is your minimum? I want the minimum amount of time that you feel like, okay, I've been talking to this person this long, we can be married. Or your maximum. And my question also I want to pose is, when you go into a relationship, I mean, you don't have to come in and be like, hey, you know, it's time to get married. But when you get into a relationship with somebody and y'all solidify that verbal agreement of, okay, I'm going to be totally dedicated to you, you're going to be totally dedicated to me. Right then, when we solidify our relationship as a relationship, whether it's going public on Facebook or however y'all decide to do it, we also, that same day, need to decide, are you a minimalist or are you a maximum? Because if you're a maximum and I'm a maximum, that means we both understand that this is going to lead up to a marriage. But if you tell me that, well, I ain't never really thought about it, well, guess what? Whenever you think about it, I hope that I don't be to moved on because I'm finna go find somebody else to play with. Because, like, you ain't finna handle me like that. Like, there's too much of my time and my energy to be giving you, and you don't even know if we're going somewhere. So when we solidify a relationship as public, we also need to come to an agreement for whether or not we both believe in marriage. And if those things are not done, now you 45 years down the road talking about, will you marry me? No. Bring me the knife. It's time to kill you.
Let's read some of the comments.
What the comments saying?
All right. They really just replying to each other. They talking back and forth.
They talking to each other in the chat?
Somebody said back in the day when there weren't legal papers, you jumped over the broom in the sight of God.
That solidified the marriage.
Why should a long-term committed relationship have a ticking clock to get married?
Because we have ticking clocks. I'm glad that question is asked. Why should a long-term committed relationship have a ticking clock to get married? And I don't know who that is, and by no means is this any shade. This is just my opinion. The reason that I feel like a long-term relationship should have a ticking clock to get married is because as humans, we have ticking clocks. Because we're all going to die one day. So I'm not going to be committed to you for 5 years and we're building together and then you can walk away with no repercussions. As opposed to if I obtain that legal document, all these things that we built together will be split down the middle. Because I'm not finna trust you. If you can up and leave me after 5 years, I can't trust you to properly give me half of the empire that we built. I can't trust you like that because clearly you are unstable because you decided to go back on your commitment to me unless I've done something to you such as adultery, cheating on you or beating on you. Outside of that, we need to be able to come to an agreement to communicate our differences, which comes with the marriage. So the reason that I feel like a long-term relationship needs a ticking clock because as humans, we have ticking clocks. And you can up and leave with no repercussions at all without a legal document in this long-term relationship. But if you have two people who agree that, hey, we're going to be in a relationship, I don't believe in marriage, you don't believe in marriage, then y'all can do that, but legally. But the thing is, if something comes up and that individual does something to you that violates the legal guidelines of marriage, which adultery is included in, don't get mad. Don't get mad when they have sex with your sister because you don't have any legal documents to prove that he even committed adultery because in your perspective, there's nothing in writing. This is just word for word. And at the end of the day, can we really trust other people's word in that sense? So when someone does something to violate your long-term relationship, you really ain't got no legal rights to be mad at all. They can sleep with your sister, your auntie, and you just got to decide whether you want to go with that. Don't be like, oh, you cheated on me because, hey, you just had their word anyway. And I'm pretty sure they lied about something else down the line. So what do you have?
Somebody said 4 years is still not enough time to understand who your significant other is.
4 years.
4 years.
So my question is, what are you doing to understand them in those 4 years?
And how long? And what is your maximum?
Yeah, what is your maximum?
4 years
if
is
4
enough.
years is not enough. So the first question is, what are you doing in those 4 years to understand them? And if 4 years is a minimum, then what is your maximum?
Okay, I think she replied to herself. She said 4 years, and I do admit it still wasn't enough time to understand each other because he has a dad and husband.
They can hear you, man.
I don't understand. Like I'm reading it, but I'm trying to put it together so y'all don't understand.
Let me see if I can.
She replied to herself. See?
4 years, and I do admit, girl, it still wasn't enough time to understand each other because he, as a dad and husband,
dad. I'm sorry, my bad.
He, as a dad and husband, was a different attitude. So him as a father was one attitude, and him as a husband was a different attitude. And sad thing goes for myself. It's been, I don't know if she meant sad or saying. It's been 17 years now since we've been together. We still fight days. We want to give up on marriage, but we fight for our marriage because he is my best friend. As to I to him.
So I'm glad she said that because I hear people say this all the time, and I want your perspective. People say, like people that get married say we're better off as friends, so they get a divorce and then they just be friends. What is your perspective on that?
You're already friends.
And that's what I like. In order for me Adrian Poe, in order for us to even discuss a marriage, we had to be friends in the first place.
We had to be
so
cool.
For me, I don't see how I can revert back to one of the foundations that I built the marriage on, but destroy the marriage. Yeah. So it's kind of like laying a concrete slab of friendship, putting a house on it, and then be like, oh, I'd rather live on the concrete. Yeah. Like, I don't understand it. So could y'all help me understand if you're one of those people who have been married and you be like, oh, we're better off as friends, and then you get a divorce and then y'all are just friends? Like, I don't understand that.
Maybe they're saying we're better off as friends without this extra stuff, like without the romantic side of it and all of that. Maybe that's what they're saying.
And if that's the case, how did you realize that here,
but didn't realize
it before? Like, therefore, and that's what I was saying earlier. Like, what are you doing in those 4 years to prep for a marriage? I feel like people are not prepping for a marriage; they're just jumping in it. And then try to do the prep work while in it, and then be like, "Oh, well, this wasn't a good idea," and now you got to get out.
The mindset, bro.
Yeah, like you need to prep before you get in it, so that you understand that there's things that are gonna come up, but it shouldn't cancel the marriage. Like, there's always gonna be disagreements, there's gonna be trouble and confusion, but those things are small things to a giant if you built your marriage on effective communication, personal commitment, personal development. Like, all of those things, they make those other things look like crap. But if you built your marriage on, oh, well, he said he'll love me forever. Okay, I can love you and still not want to be married to you. And that's another thing. I feel like love doesn't keep a marriage together. Like, love does not keep a marriage together, because love to me is an emotion that's fluctuating and subject to change based on chemical balances of the brain. So I can love you all day, but as soon as you do something and I get mad at you, I don't care about that. Because now I'm mad. Like, you violated me. So I still love you, but now I also have some hate in my heart for you. Like, I have some disagreements. I have some misunderstanding. Like, all those things are in there as well. So to me, love doesn't keep a marriage together. Effective communicating, personal identifying development, like all of those intangible things that are foundational to me is what keeps a marriage together. But love is like a cherry on top. Like, yeah, we agreed to do all this, and I also love you.
Somebody said something about, do you believe in a second marriage? Yes,
I definitely believe in a second marriage, because whatever you found out in the first one, like, I feel like that was where that prep work wasn't properly done. So, like, you discovered things that now you know to look for in the second one, and you can make a more well-informed decision. It's like flunking one test and then taking a retake and passing it. Like, you've learned from those things. Do you believe in a second marriage?
Yeah, I mean, I believe in just being able to, like, second relationships in general. Mm-hmm. Like, I would say my relationship in high school taught me a lot about what it is that I do and don't want. And figuring that out prevented me from putting myself in another situation just like my situation in high school. So between high school and up to now, I was single for the last, 5 or 6 years. Not because I couldn't find anybody to be with, like this, but because I knew exactly what I wanted or didn't want, and I wasn't willing to settle for anything less than that until I found what it is that I wanted. And so, you know, same like you said with the marriage, like you ended up learning more about yourself and what it is that you do and don't want in that first marriage to be able to know what you need to do to make the second marriage work.
So basically, would you agree that if people would slow down and develop themselves first, then marriage wouldn't be such a helter-skelter topic? Like, it wouldn't be such a, oh my God, I ain't ready to get married, because you've done that personal development and you can make a more well-informed decision. I feel like the reason that a lot of people end up in divorce or are so scared of marriage is because deep down they're scared of themselves. They're scared of not being who they know they should be, so they're not going to subject themselves to someone else.
Yeah, so I'm going to make this comment, but really we need to make this another video. Okay. But as far as relationships, people go into relationships seeking security through other people versus figuring it out for themselves first. But we need to make that a separate.
No, I need to say this, and I didn't learn that until I think like maybe the first Yeah, like the first argument that I had in my marriage, I realized this. I tell my wife this all the time. She can tell you this. You probably heard me say this. I don't honor you. Talking to my wife. I don't respect you for you. Mm-hmm. I don't not double negative. The reason that I don't cheat on you has nothing to do with you. It doesn't. Like, I could go cheat right now if I wanted to. Like, don't think that you're so something that I have put all of these locks on me for you, because it's the problem with that. If I say, oh, you're the reason that I don't cheat. You're the reason that I respect women. You're the reason that I honor my child. You're the reason. If I put all of that on her, the moment that we are beefing, I'm gone.
You have no reason to stay faithful.
I ain't got no reason to stay faithful or what? So. You just call my mama a what? Because you know they mouth get reckless. Not saying my wife do that. She used to though. But you just call my mama a B. When I go out this door, all of those locks that I've given you that kept me secured, I don't care nothing about that. I'm finna go swing it to the left and the right. And proof be told, most guys that go cheat do it in the midst of an argument between them and their partner or them and their wife, because to us, we feel better now because we're at odds. So I don't owe you that respect. But those are for only the people who attach their respect, their non-cheating and all that stuff to the woman. I attach that to myself. So when me and my wife is beefing, I don't think, well, I'm finna go smash your mama. I don't think that. Now, the old me did before I learned better. But now that I realize I can't give you that, because now I'm violating my own values because of an emotional reaction or something you did. So whenever we beefing, my wife ain't got to worry about me cheating. And it ain't got nothing to do because I respect her. No, I respect myself. And that goes back to what you said. If you enter a marriage and you assign all of these things you're looking for to the person you're getting into the marriage with, that person has the ability to control your character. But if you walk into that marriage with your character in check, when that person gets out of line, they ain't got nothing to do with me. I'm not finna go have sex with 6 females just because I caught my wife cheating. Yeah. Like, what the freak that got to do with me? I sure hate that, and I sure hate your vagina look like that now. But I'm finna go find somebody else to be with because I'm secure within myself. Makes sense to me?
I remember that. But
yeah. Like I'm telling you, cause the first time I realized was like Swanee, like when we first got married, Swanee used to be reckless. Mm-hmm. Like she was so disrespectful. Like she ain't caring about God, she ain't caring about nothing. Like, and it bothered me that like I'll be out in the world and everybody like, oh my God, Minister Adrian, you just blessed my soul, blah 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 blah. Then I go home and she, oh you mother, whoa, who you talking to? And I remember standing in my living room and I'm like, how in the world do the world respect me? And then I come home to disrespect. And it's like, I could disrespect you back. I could call you out your name. I could put my hands on you. But the moment I do that, I'm now no longer the me that I decided to be. And I was like, so I don't understand why people do that. And it's like, oh, because I don't attach my respect for you to you. I attach it to me and my relationship with God. I don't attach my inability to not cheat to you. I attach it to me. So people need to really learn themselves before they get married. And like you said, like we can't enter into a marriage holding all this stuff saying, hey, I'm ready to get married, but could you make sure you hold all these things up? Because you can't depend on people to hold that up for you. Because there's going to be days in this marriage where we're not going to see eye to eye. We're not going to, all those nice little wedding pictures and things that we did, like all that doesn't apply every day. And the day that it doesn't apply, that really will reveal why you got married in the first place.
Okay, that's a good question. As a man, why is it that men take longer to commit, especially when it comes to marriage?
Is that Jasmine?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm shocked. The question is, what, as a man, why does it take men longer to commit than women?
Yeah, especially when it comes to marriage.
I think a lot of it has to do with teaching. And let me start this by saying not all men take forever. Some men are more ready for marriage than women. Those men that aren't as ready, or it takes them longer to commit or to be ready for marriage, I think it comes a lot with who is teaching them. Like if we're being taught by society, then of course I think society plays I think society plays a large part in the stigma that's placed around men when it comes to relationships, when it comes to commitment, when it comes to marriage, when it comes to cheating. So if we're growing up and we're only listening to society's teaching as a man, if society tells me, oh, you're a cheater, or oh, you're not ready for marriage, like I'm gonna grow up thinking, okay, well, I'm a boy. When I become a man, the society tells me I'm this, so I'm not gonna think to reshape my mindset to combat what society is telling me. So I think society plays a large part in shaping the narrative surrounding men and marriage, and men aren't taught to go against the grain. It also has to do with household, or growing up, your father figure, or whether he's absent or a deadbeat. The moms not really knowing how to properly teach a boy what to do when they become a man. You know what I mean? Like, it just has a lot to do with the fact that they're not taught like as they're growing up. And if they're not taught that, they don't know to do these things when they get to this point in their life. Does that make sense? That's what I was, but again, that's not to say all men are like that. Some men are, again, more ready for marriage than women tend to be. But those select few of men, I think that's my answer for that.
So I feel like what I'm about to say is the same thing you're saying, but let me say it and you tell me if that's what you're saying. So for me, her statement is not valid. And it ain't got nothing to do with you, because I can't even see who made the statement. But her statement is, why does it take men so long to commit? I've never seen a man that it took long to commit, because I don't believe in assigning the title of man to everyone. And what she's saying is, why does it take so long for males or boys to commit? And my answer is, because they are not men. And let me explain what I'm saying. Would you agree or disagree that being a man is a mentality and not a physical makeup?
I agree.
Because a male or a boy is biological. Like, we're born boys or males.
Yeah.
So when I say man, I'm not talking about a physical feature.
Just because you're 24 years old,
right, doesn't make
fully
you a
developing
man. Yeah, just because you got a beard, you're not a man. Mm-hmm. So, and this is actually a part of the problem, because just say you have a male in your life who is taking too long to commit. The answer is because he's not developed in the area of commitment to manhood. He may be a man as a father. He may be a man as his work ethic. He may be a man as a friend. He may be a man as a cook or a mechanic or legally on paper. But manhood is a mentality. And every male that you see is not a man in every area of life. So that's why, like the lady said earlier, he was a great father. He was a great this and that, because he had reached manhood in those areas. But those males or boys that you find scared to commit, the answer is simply because they haven't reached manhood in that level of commitment. So at that point, it's your decision to where you're going to say, okay, well, he's a man here, 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 and here, but he's still a boy or a male here. Do I accept that? And if you accept that, that's on you. So it's not that he's taking too long. It's just he haven't arrived yet. But there's no such thing as a man taking so long to commit, because men understand commitment. That's kind of the same thing you were saying?
Yeah, and that goes back to which we need to start changing the narrative surrounding men, because society places this stigma upon men that men aren't monogamous, men aren't naturally or inherently faithful. But like you said, if we develop the mindset to separate men from males, then
it'll make sense.
Right.
Yeah. Like I can't stand to hear somebody say stuff like all men cheat. There's no such thing as a man cheating, because men don't cheat, because once you're developed in that maturity of commitment as a man, cheating is impossible. Like it goes against the very core foundation of who we are. But when people say that, they're identifying it with everybody that has a penis. But that's not true.
Yeah.
So I like that one word there to me is so simple, but it completely changes the perspective. So her question is basically, why does it take so long for males or boys to commit? And it's because they're not men. Simple. But when you say, why does it take so long for men to commit? I'm like, I've never seen a man that's scared to commit, because that's not what we do. Like, we're developed in the area of commitment, so it's impossible. It's like saying, why does it take so long for an airplane to fly? Like, that's what the freak they're built for, to fly. So they're going to fly. But good question. Good question.
Read some other comments. I don't know where she was at. Somebody said penis don't mean man.
Thank you.
I agree.
Thank you.
I agree.
Penis is biological.
They also agree with man from male fact.
Thank you.
Let's see. Let's go back. Trinity says she's always questioning that too, why most men take longer than women.
That's not a thing.
But we answered that. As a man, why is it that men take? Oh, we answered that. In the Bible, it says, until death do us part. I have never had anyone give me a good validation that it is okay to get remarried once our spouse passes away.
We'll have to deal with that in another video.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, you can.
Thank you so much.
No, you could.
Can you guys, because I don't want.
So you're going to tell me what happened or not?
I didn't. I told you.
No, I told you what happened. You never denied it. Be careful.
Let's see. Okay, that's pretty much it. All right, I think we can move on to the next question then.
So the next question that I have for you, what are the cons of marriage? Because we dealt with the pros. We didn't deal with the cons.
So con for me would the challenge of
Definitely. Definitely. Tell the people, but I already know. Could you please speak into the mic and tell the people the cons of marriage, please?
So the con for me is the challenge of trying to get on the same page when it comes in terms of communication.
Oh my God.
That to me might be the biggest challenge. It's communication, bro. Like without communication, we are almost nothing at this point. So that's definitely the biggest con I can identify with, is just getting on the same page in terms of the communication wise. Because if I'm saying one thing over here, but you're interpreting it completely different from what I'm meaning, then somewhere our lines are always going to be crossed. So until we can untangle those lines and where it's become straight and we can effectively communicate, that challenge is always going to be there.
Man.
So that's definitely a huge con for me. I take it you agree.
Oh, have mercy.
Let me see another con. What's a con for you?
I mean, the same thing. I would just word it different. So basically, for me, it's so with a marriage comes what I call emotional turmoil. Mm-hmm. And no one else has that ability to affect you like your spouse. So for me, I'm pretty much a, they ain't gonna do with me type of guy. But when it's my wife, if the same thing that was done externally is done on the inside of my house, my whole world is shattered.
Yeah, it's kind of like we talked about it last night. Like, how you mentioned, why is it that, like if a friend or some stranger were to do something to us, we can plan or we can retaliate with no problem. But when our spouse does something, we can't. We don't treat them the same.
Like I can't stab your tie because we got to dry that color.
Right. We in this thing. So it's like for people who didn't listen to the conversation. So I have basically answered the question by saying, when it comes to someone that you're not basically sharing life with, whether it be a friend, family member, stranger, whatever the case is, 9 times out of 10, you're retaliating because you know in the back of your mind or subconsciously that you're not going to suffer from the repercussions of whatever your actions are. All right. But when it comes to doing something to your spouse in retaliation to something that they did, 9 times out of 10, you're sharing that life with your spouse. So whatever affects their life affects your life as well. So that would definitely keep you from stabbing in the neck when you know you want to.
That's where the turmoil comes from, because so for me, just say if a friend does something and it's like, okay, well, I'll just cut you off. Like, you don't want to need my car.
Right.
Like, if my wife does something that I decide to get angry about, like, I can't cut you off because we live in the same house. Like, we got to pay bills. We got to take care of Noah.
We ride in the same car to work every day.
So if I stab your car, I put a Snicker in your gas tank,
I can't get to work. I can't get to work.
So now I'm internally, emotionally in chaos because it's like, I want to choke you, but I know that when they see these fingerprints on your neck, I'm the one did it. Yeah. So I can't. And so now I'm trying to come up with ways to try to fix this, and there's like, it's just everywhere. So the emotional turmoil that your spouse has access to, that no one else in the world has access to, because once you get married, like, they enter a realm inside of you that is normally untouched. So I can't be old nonchalant Adrian, like I can go 3 months without talking to one of my friends, but like,
I live with you.
So I gotta eventually talk to my wife, especially if it's about like my child or bills. Like, you have a unlimited, a free space in me that only you reside in, and that is so stressful and aggravating to me that one person in the world entered this realm in you, and they can really do what they want to do. Like, they can do whatever they want to do, and you don't have the grips to retaliate normally. You got to come up with different ways to resolve it, and it just creates this.
Yeah, that's definitely
that is the biggest con, which is the same thing you said, that just that communication and that personal development and growing
and that miscommunication leads to that emotional turmoil that you're talking about. So. For sure.
Poe ain't wrapped too tight. I have to just be like, you know what?
Yeah.
We need to stop this conversation. And I'm going to just walk away for a couple minutes and we'll try it again tomorrow. Because I have made it here. So, yeah. Emotional turmoil is, untouched emotional turmoil is the biggest con. Everything else I can deal with.
Yeah. It's
just that fact that you have access to a part of me that nobody else has. And it's the thing. I have to accept that on the pro and the con level, because equivalent to the con of the emotional turmoil being negative, you also have access to me on the most positive level. Like, only my wife can satisfy or fulfill me on the utmost positive side as well. So like, having both of those inside of you, to me, is a con, because it creates a internal struggle to death do you part to keep that thing balanced. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, trust me, when you get married, you'll see.
You will see.
You will freaking see.
Next question is marriage for everybody? Is marriage for everybody?
Is it for everyone? Yes. Will everyone get married? No. And when I say for, I'm only speaking in the sense of, one person can't tell me you have more benefits than two people. Like, no matter how much money you make, adding someone else's money in it makes it better. You got 2 arms, adding another 2 arms in that makes it better. Like, the benefits definitely outweigh the cons. So if you're the type of person that believes in maximizing on your life, then yes, marriage is for you. If you believe in minimizing on your life, then no, marriage is not for you. But you need to let that person know that if you decide to enter into a relationship, that, hey, this is going only right here where we started. What about you? Do you believe marriage is for everyone?
I believe it's for everybody that wants it, for sure. I believe everybody is capable of it, for sure. But like you said, will everybody get married? No.
Should everyone get married?
Should everyone get married? I mean, you don't have to. I'm
gonna say no, because everybody's not gonna do that personal development before they make that agreement. And now you done killed your wife. We see that all the time.
Right.
You done killed your kids Like you've taken on these responsibilities that come with marriage, and it's too much, and you don't keep the family.
You definitely shouldn't if you don't have the mindset for marriage.
Yeah.
Like you shouldn't do anything if you don't have the mindset for it. Like so.
That's another topic.
So should everyone get married? Absolutely not.
Everyone should not get married.
No.
No.
Is marriage for everybody? It can be if they want it.
Yes.
But yeah, we pretty much agree on that. What are y'all's thoughts? Should everybody get married? Is marriage for everybody? Let's see, we got a long comment. Real men don't cheat. Men can cheat.
Let's go. Let's go. Say that again.
Real men don't cheat.
Who said that?
Kathy Wright.
Kathy Wright, my sister. They don't hear you in the back. Could you type that again? Just that part.
Real
men don't cheat.
Men can cheat on you for years and they tell you they're sorry, but if the woman cheat on one time,
his whole soul gone.
The men are out of there. They don't want anything to do with double standards.
Exactly. We're gonna have to
deal. That's a different topic.
Yeah. That double standard, we're gonna deal with that another standard.
It's definitely a different topic. Cause I agree with it on some level, and the other levels I disagree with it. But we just gonna have to make that a different topic. What's the next question? We already talked about, should there be a minimum and maximum amount of time taken before marriage? We discussed that. Is marriage necessary?
Is marriage necessary? I believe marriage is necessary only if you are a maximizing person. If you're the type of person that believes in maturing to the utmost level of what you're doing, then yes. But if you are a person that believes in minimalizing, then no, it's not necessary, because you are okay with being at that level. And that's okay for you. But I think it's deceptive if you don't tell the person you're getting in a relationship with that. Because at that point, you're being a minimalist, but you're getting the benefits of a maximalist. If that makes sense? Did I just make a word?
Yeah, I think you did.
Okay.
All words are made up, so it's fine.
Who's saying mine don't count? I never thought about that.
Listen, it was on the Avengers, Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
When Thor was in the ship with the Guardians of the Galaxy, and he said he had to go to Nidavellir to make his new weapon.
Yeah.
And Drax was like, "That's a made up word," and he was like, "All words are made up."
That's
you don't remember that,
so
son?
true.
Yes, bro.
Oh, you done gave me a whipping.
Right. All right. And I think last question: can I just be committed without married? For me, it goes hand in hand. So you can't really have one without having the other.
Marriage, yeah.
So no, you can't be committed without marriage, because it's the same thing to me.
I feel like people that say that, like people that ask that question, is trying to be shiesty.
Yeah.
Like they're trying to, once again, you're trying to be perceived as committed and
without getting the legal documentation.
Yeah, like you're trying to be, and that lets me know that you're trying to do some undermining. You know, if everybody was as open and honest as the way that you described it, then the world would be a lot better place. But they're not. So the fact that people are trying to say, "Oh, can I be committed without being married?" Like, you can, but what are you trying to get from it?
Yeah.
like what's the point? Like why are you trying to...
And if you think they're different, what do you think marriage is?
Yeah, like what are you trying to really, like, it gotta be some you trying to get at.
Yeah.
And I know for me, prior to becoming a man in the area of marriage, because I mean, there's a lot of areas that I still work on, that I'm still a boy in, such as emotional development and communication skills. Like, I'm still working on that. But in the area of marriage, I've reached manhood in that area. And I feel like what's the point? Like, what's the point if we're not going somewhere?
Yeah. Jasmine said marriage is necessary if you're dating with a purpose. Like, it's...
Yeah. I like the way she put that.
Yeah, the point of our relationship.
Yeah, ask her though, do she believe in dating with no purpose?
I'm sure she can hear you, so she can answer the question.
Do you believe in dating? Like, do you believe in dating with no purpose? Like, legitimately dating just for the sake of dating?
Yeah, and I don't know if you mentioned it earlier, but it goes back to what we said in terms of the when you get into a relationship, the goal is marriage.
Yeah.
So
So
that's
what are we doing?
That's the purpose. Yeah.
Like
if you don't have that goal in mind, why are we wasting each other's time?
And that goes back to the whole when people be like, well, marriage ain't for everybody. But like, you in a relationship.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean marriage isn't for everybody and you in a relationship?
Why are you wasting
Like,
your time?
why are you playing? Like, that's how you end up dying.
Another person said marriage would be easier, I believe, if a woman finds a man that loves her more than she loves him, because it's a man's job to love their wife and a woman's job to submit to her husband.
I have so many problems with that.
Do you want to address it or move on? We can make that another topic.
We'll have to do a part 2.
All right.
Because I'm gonna be long-winded with that one.
Let's see. Do you think there's such thing as a spouse for someone or the spouse for someone?
Ooh, remember we did a video on it? Remember we did the video about I'm waiting on God to send me my spouse?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, let's do it. Let's do it real quick. Because I don't think they saw that video.
And last question before we answer that one is, Melvin just said, Aaron, people are looking for an scapegoat because as soon as it's not going their way, they want to run.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
true.
true.
I mean, but like I said, a legal document ain't never stopped no one from getting a divorce. It makes it harder. It does
make it a lot harder.
So yeah, I agree. Like people want to be able to leave without all of the extra stuff they got to do.
Like
for
what?
sure.
Bro, if Swanee would give me all these benefits without a legal document before I became a man, I would take it.
Yeah. Jasmine said, yes, I believe in that. But it is possible to date with no purpose because they simply want to date and wants no other connection than just dating. Okay, so when we say, hold on. So when we say dating, are you saying dating one person consistently or dating different people at different times? Because we need to separate.
She said she believed that people are dating, but they don't want any personal
No, so her initial statement was marriage is necessary if you're dating with a purpose, but she also says it is possible to date with no purpose if they just dating because they want to date with no connection.
Okay, this is the thing. This is the problem with that. They want to date with no connection.
Yeah,
the two people who are connected in dating wants to date with no connection.
They simply want to date and wants no other connection than just dating.
But dating is a connection.
Yeah, I think we have to separate or define if dating is specifically meaning with one person.
I get if she's saying that people just like dating for the sake of the thrill of dating.
Yeah, like going out on
different
dates.
People, yeah, that's different. But if you're telling me that two people want to just be with each other for the sake of being with each other.
Yeah, she said dating others, not just one.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Yeah, we're with that.
Thank you, Katana.
So yeah, there are people out there that just go on dates because they just like going on dates.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm saying, if you're just dating one person, then obviously
you want connection.
Yeah, like
you're connected to that person.
You know, Melvin said my name, but he hasn't said anything else. All right, so now we're gonna address the question: do you think there's such thing as a spouse for someone or the spouse for someone?
Let's get it. So, and I know, this is actually a good question. So we did a video on this, and I'm gonna say there's no such thing as one specific faith dedicated spouse to another person, but there is a select spouse to a person. And let me explain what I'm saying. And then I know, especially in the Christian community or the biblical belief that people have construed, you think that, God made Swanee for me. But that's not true. Because Swanee can be with whoever she wanted to be with. That's her decision. I can be or could have been with whoever I wanted to be with. But we both decided that we would be each other, and then we became one. Because the problem with saying or thinking that there is only one person designed for one person is that logic doesn't work if you stretch it out. So when I die, say Swanee is one person. When I die, what if Swanee remarries? Wouldn't she be taking someone else's person? Because her person is dead. So if she married anyone else in the world, that's taking someone else's person. And since that person's person has been taken and that person's married somebody, they're taking someone else's person. And you see how this just gonna keep going and like mess everything up? And who are we to say that, because I know plenty of people who were married 15, 20 years, their spouse died and they remarried eventually, and now they are in a wonderful, committed, happy relationship. Who am I to walk up to them and say, oh, well, your marriage is not real because your husband belonged to somebody else? What do you mean somebody else? Like, they're married now. So that logic doesn't work. And I hope that this part helps you understand how that's not the case. Like, God doesn't assign this one person to one person, because the moment that it gets out of order, just like people who don't get married and die, like, weren't they assigned to somebody if that was the logic? See how that don't make sense?
I'm with you. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna go a different route though. So I do believe people are made for each other, but in the sense that the way that I was made and the way that you're made works best for each other.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, when we were trainers, the way that they assign trainers to classes is they pair people up who complement each other's strengths and weaknesses. So I believe people can develop in a way in which your strengths may be able to complement someone's weaknesses better. Like, for instance, my strengths may complement Monique's weaknesses better than your strengths will complement her weaknesses, and her strengths will complement my weaknesses better than Lavania's strengths will complement my weaknesses. So it's like, but that's not only exclusive to us. Like, you could easily find someone else, who can be made specifically to complement who I am as a person. So I do think people can be made for each other, but as far as their, going back to his question, I would more so agree with what you're saying in terms of the only one spouse for one person. You know what, and what bothers me about that, people think that when I say, like, I could have picked anybody, they think that takes away from me picking Swanee, because, oh, well, I thought she was sent from heaven for you. Like, by me saying I selected Swanee, that actually gives her more light. Because that means I had 1,000 other people I could have went out there and found that my characteristics matched up with theirs and decided to marry, but I chose her. As opposed to saying, oh, I was born, and I know when I turn 23, the Lord is going to go ahead and send me who I was supposed to marry, so I'm just going to sit around and wait on him. Like, that takes away from her pedestal that she's on. But for me selecting her, that should highlight her. So, yeah, I do agree that people... And it's the thing, though, when you say people can be made for each other, the only way to know that is if those people get together and figure that out. That's not like one day you're waiting on some spiritual force to come knock on your door and be like, hey, I'm the one that God sent. Like, no, it don't work like that. Like, that's we still got to communicate and develop this friendship.
I got to figure out if you're made for me. That's why the Bible says he who finds a wife, not he who sits there and waits on a wife to knock on his door.
Let's see. Jasmine said not necessarily. Not necessarily to what?
I need Jazz to be here. I need to see my face.
Somebody said, y'all on it tonight, ain't y'all?
Let's go. Let's go.
A little bit. What do you consider to be unequally yoked? Religious, credit, or age, etc. And then Jasmine said, there is someone for everyone, even when their first spouse dies. Love lives on, even after their loved one is gone.
I agree. Oh, my God. Jazz said something that I agree with?
Yeah, I don't know why she couldn't be here tonight.
I agree with that, Jazz.
I'm telling you, Jazz.
Read that again. Read that again. That's a good way to put it. She said,
there is someone for everyone, even when their first spouse dies. Love lives on, even after a loved one is gone. Bars, huh? That was
Jazz?
Bars, wasn't it?
Jazz?
Let's see. And going back to the question was, what do you consider to be unequally yoked? Religious, credit, or age, etc.
Unequally yoked is both parties not having those non-tangible things that we were talking about earlier. So if we're not both willing to grow physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and financially, if we're not in agreement to be in a constant pursuit of all 5 of those, then we are definitely unequally yoked.
She said, thank you.
What about you, Aaron?
Yeah, just not being on the same page. That pretty much sums it up. Like you said,
That'll unequal that your real quick. That'll separate the eggs from the whites on it. That'll scramble them eggs.
Man. No sunny side up today.
No sunny side up today. You get an omelet, goddamn.
Someone said, "I don't want to remarry. I want to stay in peace." Hey, that's your prerogative.
Hey, yeah. Just don't.
You don't have to get married.
Yeah, don't. But also, if you are in a relationship or talking to somebody, you need to let them know that though. Because if you decided to be single, then be single. Don't be single and get benefits of a relationship. Because now that's deceptive if you're not telling that person that.
For sure. And I think that was the last question. We pretty much answered all the questions that we came up with and answered. I think we answered all of their questions as well.
Okay. Well, this was a good one.
This is a very interesting topic. Next week, have we decided what we're going to talk about?
We haven't decided the topic next week.
I don't know, but stay tuned for next week.
Yes, we definitely appreciate you joining us on these VERB Talk It Out sessions. We try our best to interact with you all as well, but still stay focused enough to make sure that what we're saying is logical. Mm-hmm. Because whether you all realize it or not, we're basically bouncing our perspectives off of each other to see if we're equally yoked. And if not, then we need to test ourselves. Like if Aaron says something that contradicts what I thought, then I don't need to get mad. I need to see, well, dang, that do make sense. Okay, I agree with that or I disagree with that. And that's one of the missions of VERB, to basically get out all of the venom and the foolishness that we've been fed over the years, to get that out and actually put logic and a sensible conversation together so that we can come to an understanding. So I really appreciate my brother for even inviting me into his group, and for us to be on the journey together. It's wonderful for me, and I really enjoy these Talk It Out sessions because most of these topics are things that people just don't talk about. We don't discuss, and we make stuff taboo, and we really need to talk about these things. So every Saturday we'll be doing a VERB Talk It Out session. Make sure you tune in, share the video. Please support the VERB page on Facebook. I'll be taking this video, copying that link over into it. You may want to listen to it with your spouse.
For the other videos too.
Huh?
You didn't do that for the other videos.
I did. I went back and did it.
Oh, okay.
You may want to do that with your spouse or your fiance.